So, I wonder if I just feel like such a failure, such a fucking failure. The fact that when these kids were born, I made every concerted effort to make sure that they went to an Islamic school, that they had at least some semblance of religion in their lives, and that they at least understood who they were and what their values were, at least from an Islamic perspective. And for some reason, the moment we went to Montreal, all of that changed. All of that changed. And in Montreal, I had this big fancy house in a beautiful equestrian neighborhood. We looked like we were multi-millionaires. The house that we had, the swimming pool, and all of that shit. But you know what? It means diddly squat. Sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the fancy house. It doesn't matter the fancy cars. We came from Montreal, we came to Toronto. In Toronto, I really did my homework and found one of the schools that had the highest average, like in the 80 to 90% averages, schools in Toronto. There was a place called Markham. We bought this very nice big house. We looked really good. We had a good lifestyle. We had everything you could really, we had a lot. But you know what? All of that material stuff is worth shit. It's not worth anything if you don't have a relationship with your spouse. It's not worth anything if your kids start doing drugs. It's not worth fucking shit. It's not worth anything if your family chooses immorality at times. It's not worth anything if your wife isn't intimate with you. And that's all I wanted, was more intimacy with my wife. And I was made to feel like I'm a fucking moron. Like some kind of sexual pervert. Why do we get married in the first place? They say you can find, there are lots of women in this world. But when you find the one love that you want, none of the other women would matter. Joshua was not my first choice. But I can say that when I actually did settle for her, the only reasons I started going back to my first girlfriend or calling her and she was overseas and began to confide in her is simply because I was so disgruntled with the state of my miserable marriage. But when Joshua told me to go fuck my mother and to go find someone else to fuck, that's the time I thought to myself, you know what? I'll take you up on your offer. Because if you don't find me, if you don't think I'm the kind of guy you're going to be in bed with, well, hell, man, you know what? Fuck. There's a whole lot more I can do with my life. What she never expected was for me to find a woman who was actually a whole lot wealthier, multi-millionaire, well-educated. And I sincerely wanted to marry the woman until the woman told me certain things that she preferred. And I decided that's not what I wanted. I was not prepared to give up my kids for 2 years and not see them for the sake of being with her. It wasn't going to cut it. I was not going to walk away from my kids for another woman. I don't think they care that I made that choice. I don't think they care for anything at all except their own puny fucking miserable lives and the shitty choices that they made. They had no excuse whatsoever to fuck up their lives. They had no excuse whatsoever not to get a proper education. I spent a lot of money on these kids to make sure that they actually had everything it took to give them proper morals, to make sure that they were well educated, to to make sure that they could be leaders in their own right and their own field, and they chose shitty paths. That's not my fault. I had no control over that. And I had a wife who was definitely not supportive in any aspect. If I said A, she would say Z. If I said blue, she'd say yellow. It's a miserable state of affairs and a completely dysfunctional marriage. But it is what it is, and tonight at 2:30 in the morning, 12:30 in the morning, here I am, driving the streets of Toronto. I got 2 assignments that are due tomorrow, and I'll be attending his nikah tomorrow. It will only last an hour, he says. An hour. I don't even know where I'm going. Really, I don't. I don't feel any connection to this event. I feel no excitement for the event. All I know is that I'll be meeting Dilshad's husband for the first time, and I'll see Dilshad for the first time since 2013 when I left and walked out of the house. I guess I'll have to say hello to her for the sake of formality and being as a courtesy, as a cordial courtesy. I find it so weird that you dare to accuse me of being infidel, of my infidelity, when she actually encouraged it. Tell you, if a man doesn't get his fucking bed, he doesn't get it from his wife, the fuck is he gonna get it from? I went after a woman who wasn't married. I could have kept Dilshad on and still had another wife, and Dilshad could have been the co-wife, the co-career co-wife. I could have done that. I chose not to. I decided at that point I was just going to cut it with her. End it once and for all. I wasn't going to put up with this shit. And you know what? I have no regrets about it. Absolutely none. I've never been happier in my life. I'm recording this for the sake of, just so that somewhere along the line, some kind of record, the kind of shit that I have to put up with. From a woman who had no fucking decent education, came to this country. I supported her throughout her entire 4 years at college. Made sure she had everything she fucking needed. Sat with her every night through all her lectures. Taught her that how blood would flow in the heart, which she never knew, even though she supposedly learned anatomy in South Africa. Faked her school results here so that she could get into one of the prestigious institutions, healthcare institutions here. Faked it so she could get in. Rewrote her master's dissertation 2 days before I left the house and left her permanently because it read like shit. She had no idea as to how to write a dissertation. None whatsoever. And I sat for 24 hours, right through, rewriting the entire damn thing. I believe she got 80%. That's not to mention the kind of research I would do. Send her the stuff that she needed so that she could actually lend towards her paper. I forget what the title was. Some kind of shitty thing where, you write 80 pages of a master's and voila, you got yourself a master's degree. Oh, the fuck. Anyway, this is my record of what's happening. I want to document this as a part of my fucking history. Miserable, pathetic. Pathetic because I don't have anything to be proud of. Nothing to show for my family, my kids. Nothing. It's not about pride. They say in the Quran, God says your children are your ornaments. Don't flaunt them, don't flash them, because they're just part of the ordainments of this world. But surely you would have hoped that when you have kids, that you can depend on them for something. Look forward to them for when you're not capable, when you're unable to do things for yourself. I'm at a point now where I can't even depend on my kids to fucking pray for me when I'm dead. They are so aloof. They are so fucked up. They are so estranged from Islam. It is unfucking believable. So you know what I've done? I've invested in other people's kids. I've invested in other things where if people think about the stuff, the contributions I made to their communities, they will remember me and say, God bless this man for doing what he did. My attempt at getting some kind of someone to pray for me outside of my immediate family, because I can't depend on my kids.